Mark, we've spoken before about how physical the demands can be on players with 3 game weeks, but what does the preparation look like from your perspective with a short turnaround between games?
Well, from my perspective, it's different because we're in all the time because we've got to do the prep for the meetings and then who's going to deliver what and the detail around the information that's given. So we're in all the time, but the players have a mixture of rest, recovery, training, some of them, and top-ups. But the recovery looks like, obviously, you've got your hydration, you've got your refueling with the food, and you've got rest, recovery, sleep, and then other elements, cryotherapy and things like that. You're trying to maximise recovery as quickly as you possibly can, and that looks very similar up and down the country. There are different recovery protocols at each club, but very, very similar if truth be told. Yeah, the short turnaround is really important that you recover properly to be able to go again.
You've been here a few weeks now. What signs have you seen that give you optimism?
Yeah, there's a lot of signs. It's a great question because we're on the back of a 2-0 defeat, which was really disappointing. But there are still a lot of signs. Football being football, you can get a kick in the teeth and then you can bounce back because there's a game just around the corner, and this is an opportunity to try and put that right. There are a lot of disappointments in football during a football season. And hopefully we can bounce back tomorrow. The demands are going to be placed upon the players. We know that there's to be fair, Swansea they lost in midweek as we did, but they beat Bristol City on Sunday. I know, everybody knows it's always a tough game. They've changed the style a little bit. You know, again, every team has injuries, but they've just lost Matt Grimes, which is a big blow for them. And you know, they've still got some really, really good players. Lewis O'Brien's come in from Forest, who's made a difference to them in the way that they play and the way that they function. But Luke's a really good coach. You know, gets his teams playing very well. Always has interesting rotations going on within his team, and that hasn't necessarily changed too much, but the way that they function has a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see what they do tomorrow, but it is more about us tomorrow.
Lewis Baker's next appearance for the club will be his 100th for Stoke City. What have you made of his contribution since bringing him back to the club?
Well, in all honesty, I think he started off really, really well. I think with Lewis, I think he's got a tendency to maybe just switch off in games at certain moments, but he's got all the ability in the world. He's got everything that you need as a player, but you know, maybe lack a little bit of concentration sometimes, which is what happens in a lot of players, and certainly this season I've noticed that since I've come in. There are one or two that switch off. Notably the other night when we switched off from a defensive position. That should never really happen, although it does up and down the country from time to time. You know, we've got to learn from those errors, and it should never happen again. You know, the space-ins between players, the lack of communication, and you know that needs to be better. But that's something that you have to work on consistently, and keep drilling that into the players. But generally they've been really, really good, and I've pointed out some negatives, but there have been real positives as well. Out of possession, they've been brilliant. On the ball, they've started to try and get a clear identity. You can see that coming through. But the ultimate thing is we've got to score more goals than the opponent, and the goals are really important. So shoot is the message.
Going into the game on Saturday, how important is it to give the fans something to get behind?
We've got to do that in every game. It's not just tomorrow. You know, we've got to do that. You sort of bounce off each other. So the energy from the crowd will be really important to get onto the pitch tomorrow, as in any other game, because of the reasons we've spoken about with the recovery, with the quick turnaround. But you know, in terms of the psychology of things, the crowd being on the side and getting behind the team right from minute one is something that I really, really think is key and important. And I know that then the players will respond in kind, and I know they're looking to turn a disappointment into a real positive tomorrow against a good Swansea side, to be fair.